So the September 5th jobs report came out yesterday, and after reviewing the numbers, it's not looking so good. Stay with me because today we're going over what those numbers look like, how this affects you, and what to expect in the future. Let's get to it. So if the job engine is sputtering and the Federal Reserve has to cut rates to rescue it, do we avoid a recession, or are we just trading it for a new wave of inflation that hits your paycheck, your mortgage, and your portfolio? Today, we're cutting through the noise. The latest jobs report missed, and it missed hard. Unemployment ticked up, wage growth is lagging real-world inflation, job openings are at a multi-year low, and layoffs are creeping higher. Now, the Federal Reserve now faces a brutal choice: cut interest rates to stabilize the labor market, or hold the line and risk a deeper slowdown. Either way, the decision doesn't just move Wall Street. It lands directly in your living room, your rent, your mortgage, and your 401k. So diving into the latest jobs report, only 22,000 jobs were added in August, while economists were expecting at least 75,000. Now, here's the real problem. That number is just the preliminary estimate and will likely be revised down again. Now, we've seen this before because back in June, the government first reported that 147,000 jobs were gained, and after revisions, that turned into a loss of 13,000 jobs. And I expect July and August to be revised lower again. Meanwhile, unemployment ticked up from 4.2% in July to 4.3% in August. And remember, this is the Fed's key metric. When unemployment rises, rate cuts usually follow. Now, for wages, the average pay grew 3.7%, but inflation in the real world is closer to 5%. That means most Americans are effectively taking a pay cut. Now, if you didn't get at least a 5% raise this year, you lost ground, because that hidden tax is inflation. And while some people point to the CPI report at 2.7%, CPI doesn't measure pure price inflation. It measures changes of the cost of living. And the money supply straight from the Fed is at a record high. Now, that's why I peg real inflation closer to 5%, and why I expect it to accelerate in 2026. Now, that's part of why gold and silver are climbing, and why stocks haven't collapsed yet. Liquidity is still flooding the system, but for everyday workers, raises aren't keeping up. Now, let's look at job openings and cuts. Openings in July fell to 7.18 million. That's the lowest in 10 months. For the first time since 2021, there are more job seekers than jobs available. Additionally, layoffs are rising. From January through August, job cuts are up 13% year over year. Month over month, they jumped up 39%. Now, here's the breakdown. California is up 24%, the Midwest is up 8.3%, the South is up 32%, and the East got hit the hardest, up 224%, largely from federal job cuts. In fact, the government alone cut 15,000 jobs in August, and companies listed their reasons. The number one reason was loss of DOGE-related programs and contractors. Number two, weak economic conditions. Number three, closures and bankruptcies. And number four, AI and automation. So, what does all this mean? If the Fed is boxed in before the jobs report, markets priced in a 99.3% chance of a cut in September. And after the report, that jumped up to 100%. Now, here are the odds right now: an 88.1% chance of a quarter-point cut and an 11.9% chance of a half-point cut. Now, if they went up half a point, that would light a fire under gold and silver, but it would also fuel inflation even faster. Now, the Fed likely wants to keep some ammo for 2026 when the bond crisis hits. And it won't stop there. The Fed governor recently admitted the labor market is weaker than reported. He said we'll need to cut rates now to get ahead, and he hinted at multiple rate cuts over the next 3 to 6 months.
Well, I've been clear that I think we should be cutting at the next meeting. The labor market has come in much softer. When I first said this with you, I think a while back.
June. Yeah.
People thought I was crazy, but once the labor market data came in on August 1st, it became pretty clear that the labor market was not performing up to what everybody thought from the original estimates. But we were getting all this anecdotal evidence at the time saying no hiring, no firing, firms are laying off, rates were going up for new entrants, AI was potentially causing problems. So all that soft data, ADP had big negative numbers, so all that data didn't seem to match up with what the BLS was putting out. And that's kind of where I felt like the BLS numbers have got to be off in some way. And then we found out in August that they really were. So I think because of that, and you want to get ahead of having the labor market go down, because usually when the labor market turns bad, it turns bad fast in a non-linear fashion. It doesn't just kind of creep up. So for me, I think we need to start cutting rates at the next meeting, and then we don't have to go in a locked sequence of steps. We can kind of see where things are going because people are still worried about tariff inflation. I'm not, but everybody else is. So I would say over the next 3 to 6 months, we could see multiple cuts coming in. Whether it's like every meeting, we'll have to wait and see what the data says.
So the bottom line here is the labor market is softening, unemployment is creeping up, wages aren't keeping pace, and the Fed has no choice but to cut rates. But remember this, because rate cuts don't fix overspending, they don't fix structural problems, they only buy time. So let me ask you, do you think the Fed can pull this off without triggering more inflation, or is this just kicking the can down the road? Now, if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, hit subscribe, and I'll keep you updated on every move the Fed makes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.